Welcome everybody to the crypto analysis. Today we're going to go over Bitcoin on small timeframes and large. We're going to focus on the big targets that I have for Bitcoin, what I see in the next coming days, coming weeks. I also want to tell y'all about how the options volatility and options strikes that we have coming up are going to impact the price of Bitcoin. And what else is happening in the altcoins front? What altcoins am I paying attention to? Exactly what I personally think is going to blast off in the coming days, coming weeks. All these things we're going to talk about today. So make sure y'all hit the thumbs up, folks. If you have been watching our content for a while, it helps us reach more of an audience when you do share our content, if you do hit the thumbs up, if you leave us a comment. And then, of course, go to our website, thealphatrace.com, hit the products page, and then join our Advantage subscription right here. 97 per month gives you access to all the lock channels that you see. We started a challenge, a 5K account challenge with the Advantage members, started on December 29th, 2020. We've had some ups and downs in the account. We were up almost about $17,000 in the account. Currently, we're up till about $10,800. So you can see clearly we're still almost 100% in profit from the beginning when we started at $5,000, and we're kicking ass. So we're super excited to share this kind of information, share the transparency of our positions, how I get in and out of the market, not telling anyone to buy or sell, simply just showing y'all exactly how I trade the market based on this account right here. Okay, so if you are interested in that kind of challenge, come join our Advantage membership. And then additionally with that, you of course will get the Bitcoin trading analysis area where I post videos 2 a day for our Advantage members. So 2 videos a single day, right? Every single day. And then we have a chat associated with that Bitcoin area. So you can see right here, tons of discussion going on about price action and news and things regarding options and whatnot. And then same thing with the altcoins area, right? We have a altcoin area right here where we post analysis, trade setups, trade updates, and then a chat as well. And same thing with DeFi. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the analysis today. Again, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Let's get to it. So we are currently on the 1 hour time frame, right? I had spoken about this in my previous videos and even for our Advantage members that this area right here, which is the January 10th weekly open, was probably going to be an area of some decent resistance. I don't think this is going to send price down or anything like that. I think, we'll probably face some resistance right here. Maybe we come back towards this area, which is 36,700. Maybe we go a little bit lower for this retest right here around the pivot, which is 36,000 flat. And then personally, I think we should still be on a upward trajectory, back towards 40,000, 42,000 at some point. Okay. I don't really know how much chop is going to go in this area. We had a very nice expansion out of this triangle right here. So we broke out. Now, the only thing is you want to continue on that breakout, right? The tighter the consolidations, the better. When markets are extremely bullish, right, you want very tight consolidations like, big move up, consolidation, big move up, consolidation, big move up. That is the most bullish thing. You do not want a market that gives you, big move up, consolidates and retraces like 60-70% move, and then tries to stab back up again at a higher high and then comes back down. See, that is not a strong market. This kind of movement right here is strong, and you just want to continue that. So at present moment, I do see that price is rejecting the weekly open marker, like I spoke about. Maybe we come back towards 37 flat, maybe 36 flat, but anything beyond that, I don't think is necessary. Like, I don't think we need to send price back down towards 35, and definitely we should not be heading back towards 33. Okay, that there's no need for that, and in fact, it would actually be worse if you do that. Okay, because on a daily basis, right? Here's how that would look if we started heading down further, further down here. So you could see if we head down further, then this thing then becomes maybe a dead cat bounce and like a lower high on the daily time frame. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean bearish. It just means that maybe then, we might chop around this range for a little bit, break out in a day or a week or something like that. And like I've said, the bullish markets, overly bullish markets, you'll have big move up consolidation, big move up consolidation, big move up. Okay, we want to continue that. So in this area right here, we did test this trend line support that I've been watching. Okay, so we tested that trend line pretty perfectly, and we tested it twice. In hindsight, that would have been the perfect retest to be long or to buy. Unfortunately, I closed in my position literally down here. I had a pretty good average too. Actually, I think it was like 33,700, and I closed it at 33,000 flat because this overnight movement, I think this was happening at nighttime, my US time zone. And I didn't really want to hold on to a position like, this thing started bleeding down. So I let go of that position. And of course, the market took off, right? Now, I'm sure you guys have dealt with this before where you have this analysis paralysis of what could the market do and whatnot. I guess, in my personal view, at least, this movement right here, if you look at it on a 15-minute basis, I think we were somewhere down here. This happened somewhere around my nighttime. And so I didn't really want to, gamble on the fact that, this was going to hold and start pushing up. But of course it did overnight. And I would have jumped back in overnight had I been up. But, point is, it didn't. And in fact, I got burnt basically selling right here, and then price took off after me. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because I want to be honest with my positions in the market and how I view the market, even my mistakes, right? My mistakes are definitely more than visible for our Advantage members in all the things that I post, okay? And then, of course, in the 5K count with the transparency we have, everything is visible, right? So whether I make bad mistakes, bad trades, good trades, bad trades, profits, losses, etc., everything is visible. And so it holds me accountable to a certain degree where I get to explain exactly my thought process. And sometimes you will be wrong. And sometimes you'll make a bad mistake of selling the bottom and the market takes off, without you. Sometimes you'll have a mistake of shorting somewhere in the middle and the market, burns you to the upside, right? Usually my goal at the end of the day is always to be able to protect capital, right? And so even though I sold down here, guess what? It's not like I was underexposed to the market, nor was I, completely flat or in cash. I already had spot exposure. I have Bitcoin exposure, I have Ethereum exposure, and I have FTT exposure. Okay, so I have all those on spot. So even if this market took off without me, I'm still making money. It's just I'm not making as much money, And so of course you could see how that gets to people, which is, oh man, I could have made so much more money if had I been long in this position. And we all fall into that trap because we're all human. And I understand that. Okay. I fall into that too. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm perfect. And, I never deal with those feelings. We all do, right? It's human nature. But the thing I've learned about trading for about 11 years, folks, is the sooner you let go of the mistakes that you did yesterday, you can move on to the successes of today. Because trading is a game. It's a skill that requires you to have the utmost focus, ability, and strength and mental fortitude, if you will, to bring in to today's market. Forget what happened yesterday. Forget how much you were up yesterday. Forget all the money you could have made yesterday till today. That's gone. Okay, it's a frivolous thought, and it's pretty much a moot point to discuss it today. But today, the account value that you have, whether it's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, whatever you're dealing with, this is day one. You start with day one, and then tomorrow, once again, you begin another day with day one, because it is not a continuous game where you have to think about every day should be progress, right? Every day you're supposed to go from 1,000 to 2,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. Some days you'll step back. Some days you'll even be in heavy losses. You might have days of losses, you might have weeks of losses, but how you play the game from a day-to-day basis of clearing the emotions and thoughts and losses from yesterday is ultimately going to dictate the success of your today. Okay, so I just want to say that for y'all that maybe deal with that kind of um, emotional hurdle because we all go through it, but no one really knows how to actually go about tackling it. And so, like I said, the best way to go about tackling it is start today as day one. Your emotions are clear, your mind is clear, and your equity value that you have in your account is today. That's it. You have that to play with today, not what you had yesterday. Okay. Anyway, so the market, once again, right, it tore up really nicely, engulfed this previous candle. So this is a very strong bullish engulfing candle. Now, I think, on a daily basis, holding up above this R2 is a very good sign. But what I would really like for a price to do is return to this area on a wick, like 35,000, and then start pushing back up because that is a key level that I would like to see tested as support to make sure that it doesn't just fall through. Okay. Because the thing about bullish markets is, yes, we can always assume that every bounce is very strong and we're supposed to put in higher highs, but it's also okay to be cautious. It's also okay to start mapping out the potential bearish narratives or bearish scenarios that could pop up because they are going to at some point, right? But so you might as well prepare for it. Doesn't mean you have to be short. It just means that you have to manage your risk, manage your positions in a way that you don't get burnt, too hard if the price does come down. At least you're prepared. You're prepared either to buy the dip, or you're prepared with enough cash on the side, or you're prepared, that you're not longing the top and getting burnt on the way down on a retracement. Okay. So anyway, I think price staying above R2 is great. If it goes up from here, even better. If it comes back to retest, 35,000 or 36,000, somewhere around here, I think that's also okay. But you don't want price coming back inside this area, which is 34.9 or 35,000. Okay. That probably wouldn't sit so well. Let's check out ETH real quick, right? So ETH is doing pretty well too. Along with Bitcoin, ETH, got marked up very nicely. It went from, I think, a low 2 days ago of about $1,000 all the way to 1175 or so, right? So we're currently hitting the pivot on the weekly right here. So this is a 4-hour time frame. Still have not gotten over it. All right. Once you get above the pivot, I think this is an area you could consider adding to your position. Or if it starts to fail down again, that's an area you could trim. Okay, so you could trim even right now if you want to. Personally, I'm long in ETH and I have spot long as well for Ethereum. So I'm not really concerned. I personally think we'll make it back up at some point, but it might be a rocky road where we might do some chopping around like this and then start breaking up. That's personally what I think. Okay, I'm patient. I'm gonna give Ethereum some time to kind of fix itself. Especially going to give Bitcoin some time to, maybe do some consolidation, do some SR retest if necessary, and then hopefully start making its way up. Let's check out Link. All right. So Link, again, it's made its way up above the pivot. Now you want to hold above the pivot. Okay. If you collapse back down under the pivot, then chances are you might come back down here, which is around 1525, or you might actually come down here, this mark right here, around $14 or so. Okay. Not something that you want, with like a double top looking thing up here or breaking below the pivot, but just something to keep in mind. Okay. On a daily basis, I mean, even Link, I think has had very, very nice retests of $14 right here. So if you are thinking about going long on Link, okay, so if I were to go long on Link, right, I'd possibly go long right now. If it comes back to 14.50 or $15 flat, I'd add and then place my stop below this wick low right here. Okay, so this green candle that you see, I'd place my stop below that. And then I'd probably take that trade towards this previous high. Okay. Let's check out something else. Let's check out SNX. So this is one of my other favorite projects. It's doing pretty well. Consolidating very nicely on the way up. I think you want to start seeing strength in SNX start to come out soon. Hopefully a daily to maybe counter these two, high facing wicks right here. This kind of looks like a little bit of exhaustion, but hopefully not too much. Um, all in all, I think SNX is a very fantastic project, and I'm kind of looking forward to this thing doing really well. So, something to keep an eye on if you guys are interested uh, in SNX. Okay, let me see here. Wi-Fi, right? So this is, of course, one of the darling favorites of the DeFi space. So Wi-Fi kind of printing the same candle as BTC or ETH. Big sell-off, strong rebound, but now we need follow through, right? You need follow through on the rebound. Okay, you can't just come up like 60% away or something inside this rebound and then start rolling over again, because that wouldn't be good. Because again, that could be a dead cat bounce, and we could then be in a weird ABC correction. Like this could be, or I could draw it right here actually. This could be an A wave, this could be a B wave, and then the C might be coming down here, right? Do I think that's likely? Probably not. But you generally don't want those kinds of corrections, because, and technically we haven't really had those kinds of corrections. Like even this one right here, I don't know, maybe, I guess over here you could say this was a A, B, and a C, right? So I guess over here, maybe you could say A, B, and C. So I guess, yeah, technically, yeah, the correction could be done. And then now we just need to start blasting up. So it is possible. It's very hard to draw Elliott wave counts, especially corrective counts, because you could draw them like any which way. There's probably like 50, 100 different ways you could draw them, you know? But anyway, yeah, we won't bother with that. 15-minute time frame. So we have a pivot, right? So this pivot right here, the daily pivot is around 36,000 almost. If price does come down there, like I said before, not necessarily bearish, also might be an area that you could get interested in as a buyer. We could also do something like this, okay, where you have a left shoulder, a head, and maybe we do a right shoulder, right? And I like these patterns because over the last several months, like Bitcoin has failed to deliver on head and shoulders. Okay. So what happens is these head and shoulders, they actually fail and then they start breaking up like this. So whenever you get that failure, whether you want to buy the final, right shoulder neckline, or you want to buy the breakout above the head, right? Those are all, in my opinion, great failed bearish patterns that you could jump long in. Okay, so just something to keep in mind if that does develop. Now, I know there's also a bigger head and shoulders pattern that could be developing, which is, left shoulder, head, maybe this is like a right shoulder developing. It's possible, but, once again, like over the last several months in Bitcoin, it is really not giving a shit about head and shoulders. Okay, head and shoulders are reversal patterns because you see an exhaustion coming at the top. And Bitcoin ain't exhausting. Like it just has continuous buyers relentlessly buying. And the great thing is, it's not even just perpetual or futures buying. It's real spot buying activity, meaning people are actually buying real Bitcoin, not just going on BitMEX and 100xing, Bitcoin longs, right? So the real driver of the price has actually been, Coinbase, real buying activity on Coinbase. Okay. And that's actually visible right here, even after such a massive sell-off. So we had this big candle, if you see right here, right? This big candle had a selling delta of negative 6,459, meaning there was actually about 54,000 worth of Bitcoin that got sold in this candle. But guess what? For every seller, there's a buyer, right? And if price returns back up, that means someone bought all of this and bought more, starting to drive the price up. So you can see when it comes to, BTC, there's still a decent amount of buying activity going on. So it's not just that, in this area we're exhausted or anything as such. We just need to see follow through, and we're back on our merry way to start targeting 50,000 and quite possibly higher. Right. So one of my larger targets that I've spoken about, okay, is 50K right up here. And I was hoping that we would go into a nice parabolic move right here, but that didn't happen. So let me just delete this real quick because this trend line is not useful. But this trend line right here is very useful, right? You can see if we're on that kind of trajectory, like this, if we're following this trend line up, we should be getting towards 50,000 pretty much by the end of January. Somewhere between middle of January or end of January, if we follow this trend line up. Okay. And guess what? Guess why that's important? Here's why. Okay. So someone bought a crap ton of $52,000 calls, options calls, expiring on January 29th. Okay. So they bought a ton of them. All right. Right around $2,000 per contract. But now, once again, they bought these calls somewhere down here. So their price is already appreciated on their options contract. But guess what? If price starts getting towards those $50,000 targets, this person, this he, she, group of people, whoever they are, they're going to make a crap ton of money. And if I was this person, and if I had this kind of money to buy this many calls, I would be doing the bidding right here, meaning I would be forcing the market up as much as I can and start having other people jump in and have other people pile in and get me towards my $50,000 target or beyond. Higher the target, the more deeper in the money, meaning if it gets to 55, 56, 60, the more and more these options contracts appreciate. Okay. So it's very, very possible that price does get towards 50,000. All right. Based on, what this person's betting. And of course, based on the trajectory that I'd mapped out, several weeks or actually a good month ago. So I think that's pretty much it. I'll talk about Bitcoin dominance, a little bit here. A decent amount of base created on Bitcoin dominance, maybe like a W bottom. And this, to me, once again, is a good sign because what Bitcoin has kind of proven as of the last several weeks or several months is that you can get a significant amount of gains out of Bitcoin without having to touch altcoins for the actual, raw alpha, meaning you can make 10% in a day in Bitcoin without having to worry about 10% or 20% drawdowns versus altcoins, which can make you 10, 20%, but it could also dump 10, 15% as well. So Bitcoin can actually have a higher upside volatility move like 10%. And some days when it dumps, right, or it pulls back or retraces, its average pullback is like 2, 3%. Okay. So, you could see the reason why Bitcoin is such an attractive investment right now out of all the cryptos is because of its relative risk compared to altcoins. So you can make the same kind of upside that you do in BTC, but you don't have to worry about the worst downside that you have in altcoins. And that to me is very nice and appealing. And that's why I believe dominance might actually tick back up towards 72 or 75 points up here. Because Bitcoin will once again be that attractive investment that sucks in the money flows and refuses to let altcoins run up too much. Here's a perfect example. Here's ETH BTC. ETH BTC blasted up very nicely towards this level right here, right? You guys can see these big candles right here. This was when ETH went from like $800 all the way to like 1,000, less than 24 or 48 hours, but then once again retreated, right? So the ETH BTC ratio, meaning how much ETH is gaining ground versus BTC, calmed down once again. So this tells you that if you're using Ethereum as a proxy altcoin for, say the definition of all altcoins, well, right now, even ETH is sort of underperforming Bitcoin over the last week or week and a half right here. So the point of that is, Bitcoin should always, in my opinion, be a cornerstone of your spot position or long position. Again, not investment advice. I'm just saying that's how I trade. Okay. Because it's been paying off, right? Like I don't have to be invested in altcoins all the time to seek a 10, 20, 30, 40% upside because Bitcoin could give me that in the span of days, sometimes in the span of a week or two. And that to me is good. Okay. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. Not really seeing anything in terms of walls right here, right? Everything looks cleared up. There's some huge sellers that were lined up around 36,000. Those walls got pulled and price just blasted on through. Um, you know, maybe we have some sellers like up here around 42,000 or something, but I don't think it's anything special. I think we're probably going to slice up through it, pretty nicely on the way up whenever we get there. Alrighty. Well, y'all take care. Make sure you hit the thumbs up once again. Join our Advantage membership. It's on our website. 97 per month gives you access to everything in here. Our 5K count challenge, our Bitcoin trading analysis, 2 videos a day, the chat channels, and everything that you could want in a group to learn and educate yourself about trading crypto. Y'all take care, and I'll talk to you soon.